Yo, what is going on, guys? Jared here. Today I have a new deck profile for you, but this is going to be something that is going to be something more in the future, post Phantom Nightmare. I have been wanting to try to use this Memento archetype for a little bit now, and I did not like how linear a lot of the plays were and telegraphed that they were, so I wanted to try to add a little surprise factor, maybe something to add a little something to push through hand traps, and luckily we get that something in Phantom Nightmare. And what we get is this little guy right here, Memento Attic Ghost. This is a card that again, we don't have yet, but it is very important that it's a level 2. It special summons itself when it's sent to the graveyard from a Memento monster's effect, or Memento card's effect, I should say. And when it is normal or special, you can add back a Memento card from your graveyard to your hand. So, again, this is a very strong card that I wish we had right now, but we don't have it right now. But because of the stats and the level of this card, we are actually able to combine Memento now with something like the Spright monsters. Again, this is something more of a concept right now. This list has not been tested too much, but I was doing some test hands with it, and it seems pretty good, pretty consistent. I like the way it's been going. But if you guys have any more ideas or suggestions for something like this, for Memento in general, I'm actually more curious. But this is just something that I've been trying out for now. Please leave them down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy the video, please subscribe. I would also greatly appreciate it. But jumping right in with the actual list, we are playing one of the trap card. I'm not playing the other trap card right now, the Fracture Dance, but you can if you wish. They are both actually perfectly fine cards. Spot removal is very good, so I don't think this card is bad. It's like Salmon Great Rage in a way. And for the actual Cranium Burst, I actually like this card a lot, specifically in the Spright deck. I'll show you more when we get to the M board because I have a combo for you at the end. And but it actually synergizes very well with how the Spright board ends up being set up. So I'll show you that at the very end. 3 Bone Party. This is a help consistency card. In some hands, it's kind of awkward if you don't have the other Memento monster. Obviously, it gets a little weird. But when this card is good, it's great. Like being able to use it to dodge things like Imperm and Ash sometimes is super sick. So yeah, I'm still like 50-50 with a card like this, but for now, I like it a lot just for consistency mostly, just being able to turn your either a bad Memento into a one card starter Memento. One of the field spell, being able to reset in the end phase is solid, and this also combos pretty nicely with some other cards like the Dark Blade here and the Witch, but we'll get to those in a little bit. We also play 1 copy of Goblin. This is necessary for the combo because you need to be able to dump enough Mementos into the graveyard. 1 copy of Mace. This is actually a form of interruption that you can have in some combo lines where you can take control of a monster your opponent controls, so it's really good removal. And at the same time, being able to search by destroying a Memento is also very solid. 1 of the Dragon, you don't think you need more than 1. The only card that really counters this very well is DD Crow. And because this card is an Earth, so it's not a light or dark, thankfully, so we don't have to worry about Bishiels hitting this. Now we're going to get to the 1-card combo Memento cards, which is the Angel Witch, the Dark Blade, and the Tatsuno Chico, whatever it is. All of these are at 3 because all of their normal summons can do the Memento half of the deck, 1 card very easily. So I am maxing out on all of these. So yeah, this is all pretty straightforward. Pretty much these cards all get to the horse. The horse sends 3 more, and then you just can go from there. And then 2 copies of the Attic Ghost. The Attic Ghost is, again, this is the synergistic part of the deck where both decks can align because you have a Memento and you have that's level 2, and then you have the Sprites, which all go off level 2. Then for our Sprites themselves, 3 copies of Blue, 3 copy of Jet. These are just obviously the 1-card starters of the deck, along with the maximum amount of starters for like actual Sprite starters for the Spright engine. So I wanted to max out on those for that reason. 1 carrot, 1 red for the versatility, depending on the matchup, whichever situation you need. 1 copy of Smashers. I am currently not playing Double Cross, which I have down here. But again, depending on the format, how things go, how this deck develops too, you can switch it around as you go throughout testing or whatever tournament local scene you have. Yeah, and then we actually have 10 spots for non-engine in this deck as well, and I think you actually can probably trim some more fat out of this deck too if you wanted even more non-engine, like something like the Bone Parties perhaps, or maybe even the Field Spell, or maybe cut down on some of the Mementos or the certain Sprite cards. So I think you actually have a lot of room for even more non-engine if you wanted to, but for now I have this very generically set up with 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Nibiru. I feel like these are the best hand traps right now that are pretty universal. I think most matchups these will do something in some capacity, and Nib is the more of the riskier one, but most decks are summoning at least 5 times, and even in some of the matchups where they can play around it, usually it's baiting something out like a Bear and Negate, right? Like it's still doing something, it's still trading 1 for 1 for a Negate, so it's still pretty good. Yeah, and then 1 copy of Call by the Grave, just because of hand traps, we going first, we want to be able to play around and play through as many hand traps as possible, and this card helps with that. I have some other cards in the side deck, which is just extra copies of Goblin and the Attic Ghost. We went over both trap cards, but I'm currently not playing the Horn Dragon. I like this card more of a side deck option just because it destroys cards on the field. So this could be really helpful maybe in slower matchups, maybe like any back row deck, something like that, just to force things out, or going second to be able to destroy cards on the field to help a lot. So this is just something to consider, but for now, I do not think this card is good enough for a main deck slot. That's just my opinion. Maybe yours is different. Maybe throughout testing, this could be better, but for now, that's just how I feel. Going on to the extra deck, we have 2 copies of the Gigantic Spright. This is pretty standard, I would say. Djinn Buster, this is actually Djinn Buster is actually pretty nice in here because, again, the Attic Ghost is another level 2 dark, so it makes Djinn Buster actually a lot easier to make. Mosquito for random OTKs that you can do, plus being able to use this to go into the Zeus line with Downer, it is also very good. And then 1 copy of Tifon because this card's really good, so why wouldn't you play it? 1 copy of Sprint because you can actually Sprint dump the Attic Ghost if you want to. Just if you need that 5th name in there, mostly if you have like Spright cards and you need to be able to get that 5th name for the dragon, that's mostly what it's in here for. You're not going to make this a lot of the time because, again, this does not trigger off of being sent by Sprint. That is something very important to keep in mind. Do not accidentally cheat with that. IP and SP, these cards are phenomenal with Spright. I really should probably be playing more SPs if I'm being completely honest, but for now I have 1 IP, 1 SP. There could be more of each of these in all honesty. 1 copy of Muckraker because all of these are, we have feed monsters in here, not all of them, but there is feed monsters, something like the Goblin and the Attic Ghost are able to special summon back, and then you add a different, like something like the Attic Ghost specifically, you can special it back, add 1 back, and then you can kind of keep going from there because you can only special summon, you can only summon fiends for the rest of the turn. So either you have the dragon on the field, you can use Muckraker to summon back Attic Ghost, and then Attic Ghost can add back the mace. Yeah, sorry, a lot of talking, but yeah. So this has some scenarios and some merit. Honestly, this could be another SP for a more competitive type list, but I just wanted to at least mention it. I also have Selene and Access Code in here because we actually have the benefit of one of the main Memento monsters being a spellcaster because they're all different types. So we have, we are able to play Selene to go into an Access Code Talker line if we are not locked into level 2. So again, something to keep in mind, which is very nice. And the fact that you can search out spell cards in this deck, so you can get Selene, it won't be turn 1, but turn 2 or 3. When you go for those kill turns, that's where Selene will be live. You might have your Bone Parties or your Smashers and your starters in your graveyard. So, and yeah. So, and then we have the Access Code, of course, to pair with it. And then Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn. Both these cards are just phenomenal at what they do. They're just generically good. Phoenix being a level or rank 2 to help with the Spright engine. And then Unicorn just as an ulterior thing to go into with the IP if we need to. Because spinning back sometimes is better in some scenarios. So again, this deck is definitely not a finalized list. I would definitely test this a lot more if you wanted to give it a shot. And yeah, I'm very rusty with Memento. This is something like I'm just picking up and looking into now. These cards have a lot of text and a lot of moving parts. There's like 6 deck interactions with this deck. It is kind of crazy. This does it, this does it, this does it, this does it, this does it. Like there's so many cards that interact with the deck. So again, this is a lot to get used to, and there's a lot of moving parts, and certain starters do other certain things. So yeah, just again, something to keep in mind. But I want to move on to a combo that I did, and just something to show how the decks kind of like can interact with each other. So here we have a standard like-ish hand of what 2 cards can do, where we have 1 Memento starter and 1 Spright starter. So we are going to go with the Dark Blade effect to summon the Angel Witch effect to be able to add the horse. Oh, I am doing this now before you guys yell at me again. So yeah. Next, we can use the horse in hand because we only control Memento monsters, and then use the effect to send up to level 5 to the graveyard. So we're going to send Attic Ghost, Goblin, and Mace. Next, we're going to use the Ghost to summon back. We are not going to use the effect, though, of Ghost. Keep that in mind. We are not going to use that yet. We can use it later. We just need this here as a level 2. So we're going to use the Angel Witch effect to summon Goblin, then use Goblin effect to destroy and send 2. So we are able to send the dragon, and you can send any cards with Goblin, which is very nice. So we can send the trap as well. This is what we are going to be adding back with the Attic Ghost. So, but from here, we are able to go Spright Blue and the Spright Jet effect, and you can get either Smashers or Starters, depending if you want to end with either a Carrot, Red, Carrot mostly to protect yourself from maybe like more side deck cards like Evenly Match, Harpy's Feather Duster, Raigeki, anything like that. Just stuff to keep in mind. Smashers for more if you need more spot removal. I don't think this deck really needs more spot removal, but the option is here if you do need something like that. Again, this could also be double cross in this scenario. Here we are going to overlay for Gigantic Spright. Be sure that you bring back the dragon before you use Gigantic Spright's effect so you're not locked out. That is very important. By shuffling, we have exactly 5 monsters in the graveyard. Now, this combo is not going to end with Memento Mace, but keep in mind that there are combos that are going to end with Memento Mace, because Mace is very, very good as a hand trap to be able to take control of an opponent's monster. So yeah, now we are able to link off the Gigantic and the Ghost into IP, and then this is going to be our end board. There's might be other ways to modify this board and ways to play this, because I think there might be a way where you can get Mace in the hand with this board, or keep like a Witch in the graveyard, depending on how you make this board. But again, that's going to take more time to maneuver, test, and figure out with how this deck's operating. But the main thing I wanted to point out here was that you have the, let's say you took starter, during your opponent's draw phase, you starter for Carrot because you want to play it safe. So that will leave you with Attic Ghost, IP Masquerena, Carrot, and the Creation, not including the other 3 cards in your hand that you have. Something that is very important to keep in mind: if your opponent goes summon a monster, we'll say something like Kashti or Fenrir, we'll say, and they go enter battle phase. When they enter battle phase, you are actually able to flip up the trap, and because you have a Memento monster, the opponent has to attack the Memento monster. It cannot attack the Carrot and the IP, or if you have SP on the field, they cannot attack that either. So this trap actually prevents you from getting run over, which is a big Spright problem that a lot of players have. This actually stops that problem in Engine. So when you establish your board, you don't have to worry about things like that to be able to force out your interruptions like your IP, so you can get full value off of them, because this thing is huge and there is no way your opponent is summoning something big enough to destroy this. Also, being able to have 5 monster interruptions is huge. So you really probably don't need Spright Red in a lot of scenarios because you have this. But if you do, you still can if you need to destroy the monster. It depends on the matchup, of course. But you have a lot of removal here. Again, if there are combos where you can end with Mace in the hand, that is very, very good. Or you end on Witch in the graveyard, so you can use the Creation effect to bring back the Witch, and then Witch get the Mace on your opponent's turn, so that you can able to mind control something. That is also a very, really strong point of interaction. And then, of course, we have the IP, which can go into something like SP Little Knight on your opponent's turn. So yeah, I think this is a very different type of end board I've seen that I've been, at least with Memento. I think incorporating the sprites with this card specifically helps a lot with a lot of the flaws of the end board. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know down below what you think, how you would change it, what maybe some other end boards you figured out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe if you did, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.